That's all right.
Yeah. All right. Good evening, guys. My name is Harry, and this is Hasbro TV. And tonight I've got Carl William from Coys.com. Yeah, we're here to preview the Leicester game on Sunday. So first, Carl, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, good mate, good mate. Really looking forward to this, and you've come on our channel, so
Yeah.
pleasure to come on
Yeah.
yours, mate. Let you do the
Yeah.
hosting this time.
Yeah, my turn now. So first, I think we're just going straight into the game. So do you think now with the momentum going to Arsenal, are you more worried about Sunday's game? Even though I think we're playing them Leicester beforehand. I think before they got
Yes,
West
I
Ham
think
Arsenal was in the afternoon. Do you still think the momentum's with them, sorry, than us, or do you think we could change it?
I think there's been a bit of a shift, isn't there? I think that the Chelsea result is the one that I think has kind of swung momentum back in Arsenal's favour, and obviously gives them the confidence now to go on and think they can do top four. But I think there's still some twists and turns. I think there is still another drop result. The North London derby obviously is going to be massive for us, and if we can get a result in that, then obviously things might turn around. So it's that same thing, and we can only do what we've got to do, and that has to start against Leicester on Sunday. The last two performances hasn't been good enough, and that's not the sort of momentum you want to be taking in, and not the sort of dip in form we wanted to see right now. But I think if we can get back on track Sunday, I don't think West Ham are going to do us any favours, and rightfully so. They got bigger, more important things on their mind. So I think you've got to expect Arsenal are going to get a result. So we've just got to make sure we do what we need to do Sunday, and then we go forward from there and hope that they slip up somewhere and we don't.
I mean, we just have to just keep winning and just hope for the best, I think. At this
Yeah,
point,
that's all
because
you
we're behind.
can do, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all you can do. You just got to think, well, the fact we've got to play them is massive, because it gives us an opportunity to kind of get that point, or get, point ahead of them again if everyone stays level as they are. But we've got to make sure, we've seen the previous two games, it's don't slip up in games that you shouldn't really be slipping up in.
Brentford away.
Yeah,
Right
well,
at home.
yeah, those two results, the Brentford
Yeah.
away one, when you look at form lately, Brentford away, it wasn't a bad point necessarily, but it was the week before the Brighton defeat that was the real kicking one for us.
I think for me also in like the context, if we had beat Brighton, the momentum would sort of feel like it's still with us. But
Yeah,
because we lost at home, to Brighton, I feel like it's sort of gone, and Arsenal had the advantage. And even though I said in your podcast, oh, we've got Conte, they've got Arteta, I'm thinking like Matt Doherty gets injured, and now we're in it.
who'd have thought that? Who'd have
Yeah,
thought that earlier in the
yeah.
year? Matt Doherty injury has sent Spurs into a downward spiral.
It's-
You could never have envisaged that, could we?
I find it's like Tottenham in a nutshell, really.
Yeah,
It's like,
not only have we got Conte, but Conte's got Tottenham and everything that goes with that. So
yeah, it's like you take on the philosophy of
yeah,
Tottenham. It's like,
you take on the
club.
DNA. Yeah, you got the DNA. Comes
But
at
like,
you fast.
but in terms of Leicester, so I know Conte's been mentioning about Kulusevski to play at right wing back in his presser. I think it was yesterday, and I think a lot of people are very against Emerson, including myself. So, do you think he might make a change and put Kulusevski at right wing back, or do you think he'll just leave it and this is just him saying, "I'll have this possibility, or I'll have this,
Yeah, this one's a tough one, and we kind of spoke. I've kind of spoke about this to someone, saying the biggest problem Conte's got here is right now, if he drops Emerson for say someone like Lucas Moura or Kulusevski, then that's Emerson done for this season, because you don't come back as a player. You can't come back from that. Now, as fans, I don't think any of us are too worried about that. You sit there and go, well, if Emerson don't play another minute, I ain't worried about that. But as a manager, when you've got a squad to manage and players that you probably need to keep on side at least till the end of this season, performance-wise, I think if he drops Emerson for Moura or Kulusevski, then I think he can't use Emerson again this season, because it's kind of that slap in the face, isn't it? That you'd rather play a winger in the defensive wide position than me, who in theory should be that position. So I don't think he's going to change it this week. I honestly don't. I think he'll keep the same side at home, feeling confident. I don't ever want to see Kulusevski play as a right wing back, to be honest. I don't see him being a fit for that position. People say he can play that position, but from what I've seen of him, he doesn't have the pace to be in that wide position for me. And I don't think you want to break up that front three, to be honest, at any time soon, because we know when it clicks and it clicks well. So I don't see him. I don't see that as an option that we'll realistically take. But it is difficult because I'd quite happily not see Emerson. I'd give Lucas Moura a run in that
he's
wing-back
one I'm
position.
thinking of myself.
For me, I think he's got the pace to be able to get up and down. He's got the, he'll fight for you and he'll die for you on the pitch. So he's the obvious one for me that if you wanted to make a change, you could think, well, let's try something different there. I just think Sunday's going to go with the same side. He's that same trusted side, I think.
I think he seems very reluctant to tinker at all.
Yeah. Even during games.
Yeah. Because I think, as my theory, I don't know if I'm correct, but he wants the players to also learn the system. And if he tinkers it too much, it means that in a year's time, if say a new player comes in, so we make 2 or 3 changes in the starting lineup in the summer, it won't be like as seamless.
Yeah.
So if he only tinkers when there's an injury, at least there'll be a settled side, and there's new players who come in, it'll be less of a settling period as well.
Yeah.
Because I think we sort of benefited that, if you saw with Bentancur and Kulusevski, because we were playing a similar side almost every week. When they've come in, it's almost like they're just slotted into a place, and it's that's maybe a theory. Is probably not the right word. A factor in them doing so well, because the team beforehand wasn't changed as much. They've just sort of come in as subs at the beginning, and they've just slotted in. I agree with you in terms of Lucas. I think I would give Lucas a shot at right wing back at this point. But I don't know. Did you see Emerson's interview with Sky Sports this morning at all? Or the clips?
I've seen he's done an interview, and I say I like the guy. You can't knock him, can you? I like the guy himself, but he just doesn't have the quality that's going to take. When you look at Liverpool's 2 fullbacks and the job they do, you sit there and think, if we had those either side, we're winning the league. With the front players we got, we're winning the league, because those guys can just cross for fun. They really do. We just don't have the wide players at the moment, and it's the biggest flaw we've got that Conte's going to have to solve in the summer. You need 2 of them, because the left side ain't much better than the right side, to be honest. So yeah, I like Emerson. I really do. I think he wants to do the job. But, he just hasn't got the ability. And that pass in the Brentford game, the one that goes out of play in front of Davinson Sanchez, and the tackle in the second half when the guy skips past him into the penalty area with ease, and Romero has to come and recover the situation. That just sums Emerson up, unfortunately. Nice lad. I'm sure he wants to do well. It just won't happen for him. The only other change I see Conte possibly doing is what he went to in the Brentford game, which is maybe bringing Sanchez in to the back 3 and pushing Davies out wide to the left this week. Because again, I don't rate Sessegnon or Reguilon at the moment, so I don't think either of them offer us anything in those wide positions either. So that's the only change I can see him doing, possibly.
I think with Sessegnon, I find his situation very strange, because I think there's a player in there, but he just, whenever he plays, I think he's scared. I don't know how many times I've said this, but it's even the last game. It's like Conte has faith in him. Here you go. Here's your spot.
It's very true. Cody's very true. Yeah.
Do you know he's got like an Emerson shirt now? I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, I did see that, yes. And you got to give him credit for sticking to, put it out there, and you had to stick with it. So you got to give him fair credit. But thankfully for him, that can go in the bin at the end of this season. You have to keep that too long.
But in terms of... All right, sorry, mate.
I think shame.
I think everyone on Twitter knows about it, to be fair. So it's not like... Because I remember the day when I saw it, I was just like, please, Emerson, please score. Because
Oh, it is. It's the tweet is coming back to haunt you, isn't it?
So I
It's
don't
like,
tweet anything
the
like that
minute you
because I just
say
know
it,
it's just gonna go wrong. But yeah, in terms of the left side, like with Sessegnon, I feel like when I see him play, like there's a player in there, but then he just never has the confidence to actually play in that way. Like I
yeah,
think the one game when I saw he was like, yes, this is the Sessegnon I really want to see, was Leeds away when he
yeah,
seemed, he was top. He was crossing, he was putting the ball past, running past players, but we've only seen that Sessegnon in one game.
yeah,
And then with Reguilon, I find like I have more expectations of him because he's more experienced. Then people say to me, "Oh, he's the left back. He's not a wing back." But at the same time, I mean, you're working with someone like Conte. Surely you get more out of someone. You get more out of himself.
yeah.
But we're just
Yeah, I
not
mean,
seeing it. So,
like,
so why do you
yeah.
think he'll make that change with Davies? Because I find Davies is way too slow as plays a wing back. So
I think he is, but I think he knows Davies is kind of that reliable. Is that reliable player that you know what you're going to get? Sessegnon at the moment, you don't know what you're getting, dear.
no.
Like as you say, we've only really seen maybe 1-2 games where you go, "Oh, this finally looks like we could be getting the player we thought we might have got." Again, he's another one. I don't see it working out for him at Spurs. Too injury prone. If he gets a run of games going, he normally picks up. He's made of glass, isn't he? The minute he goes down, you think that's it. He's done. I'm like you. He does look like a boy playing in a men's game
Yeah,
where
yeah,
there's that
exactly. Yeah,
intimidated by
yeah.
everybody. Now, whether that's just something he has to, whether that's just a hurdle, if he gets over that, he bursts on the scene, and that's remember we was all writing Gareth Bale off at one point, weren't we? And
Yeah.
he then he just turned it round. Do you see that with Sessegnon? I don't know, because the biggest worry with someone like Sessegnon is even when he gets in good positions, the final pass and that again is just dreadful. The cross is 9 times out of 10 a dreadful cross or a miscontrol when he doesn't, in the vital moment. So I just can't see him, and that's why I think he might think Davies is just more of a steady option there, that he knows what he's going to get. Yes, he's not going to be blistering pace, but if he gets in a decent position, he might be able to put a cross in. But maybe
See what happens.
he might feel more confident with him than someone like Sessegnon this week.
So you expect to see Davies and Emerson as our wing backs, which is not very enticing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a change,
It's
that's
like,
the only change I can see, because that's what he did at the end of the Brentford game, didn't he? He brought Sanchez on, moved Davies wide, whether he thought, I want to give this 20 minutes and see how this works. That's the only change I can possibly see. If he changes it, he might not change it at all, because I do think this is a game we're going to get back on track on, given everything Leicester have got going on at the moment.
So do you think Leicester having Europa League, Conference League for them?
Conference League, yeah.
Because West Ham got Europa.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just expect West Ham to be in Conference, and then I see them to Europa League. I'm like, but yeah, in the Conference League. So do you expect them to rest players, given they drew in the first leg?
Yeah, I do. So now we had this chat on Monday night, and I actually said I don't think no matter. For me, I wasn't worried about what happened with Leicester, because I think either way, they're not coming to our place Sunday for a game, in my opinion. They got a 1-1 draw the other night, so that keeps that tie well in the mix. So for me, they're not going to come and risk injuries or anything like that before that second leg. Excuse me. So for me, it's all about the Conference League now and winning that. They're 9th, I think it is, possibly. So then there's nothing to play for in the league. So yeah, for me, I just think they're going to come as bodies on Sunday, where it's like, don't do nothing silly when, Conference League is what it is. On the flip side of that, I said, if they had got beat heavily the other night, I still think they come as ghosts. Because for me, if they've got beaten heavily where the tie was over, their season's done at that point. That's it for them. So I'm really confident. I don't think Leicester are going to come to cause us any major problems.
Yeah, but I know with Tottenham, these sorts of things don't work out normally. So it's like, well, yeah. Because I was reading some of the players that might play, like Jose Perez, Daka. I don't know, he has Canute's agent, right?
Yeah.
Because we were linked with him before. Have you been impressed with him at all this season, Daka? Because I haven't seen enough. Like the
I
games
haven't
I've seen
s-
of him being sort
yeah.
of like he seems like he's settling, but I've not seen the player that was made out to be in the summer, at least for me.
Yeah, he has moments, doesn't he? But then I
Yeah.
guess that's when you're a young player finding his feet in this league. That's what it's going to be. He can have moments where you think, oh, that looks a player, but then he can have other moments where you think, oh, that's the sort of signing we'd make, and it just doesn't work out. So he doesn't worry me. I don't, like I say, this game is one where I think we'll do what we need to, and we could score a few goals on Sunday. I think this is the perfect game almost for us. He says as a Spurs fan, is there ever an easy game? But I do think they've got more to worry about. So I think this will be okay.
Oh, that's Norwich away, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Norwich away. Yeah, what can go wrong playing them on the last day, eh? And Burnley.
Oh God, I'm actually quite scared about that game because even though Dyche's gone, I just think Burnley just always got that little thing against us. So I'm just thinking, oh God.
Mind you, we've given him a good thump in the last few times at our place, haven't we? He had the Song goal at one point. So are we really worried about Burnley? Like Burnley and Norwich? Should we really be worried?
Anfield away after this, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Again, but do you know what? I'm not actually worried about that game because Liverpool won't change the way they play to counter us. Brighton and Brentford will change the way they play to nullify us. Liverpool won't fear that, so Liverpool won't change what they do. Where then Kane and that will still be able to find those spaces against Liverpool because they won't shut us down like other teams have done. So I don't fear the Liverpool game in the sense that, yes, we could go there and get hammered potentially, but it could also be like the City game where we go and we have a lot of chances and Liverpool don't stop us doing what we can do so well.
That's a good point. But do you think Leicester will play an open match regardless of who they've got? Because do you think someone like Maddison for me is like a real danger? Or like we spoke about Harvey Barnes before we came on. He's another one who's a real danger. I think he's been slated to be playing on Sunday. But like someone like Maddison, do you think Leicester will have more of the ball than us? Because I've noticed our style, naturally, we're sitting off, which I know is to our detriment. Or just Conte wants us to play this way. I don't, I can't confirm that because I'm not in the dressing room. But I've felt like, apart from the fact when we score we drop off, we're better suited to games where the other team has more possession, and then we just hit them on a quick counter with a direct long ball, and that's it. But like, do you expect Leicester to dominate the ball or us because we're at home?
I think this will be one of those 50-50 games. Like I say, I think the biggest thing for us, I can't see Leicester coming. Yeah, I can't see Leicester coming. I think players like Harvey Barnes and Maddison, there'll be players who might be told, well, listen, you're playing, but please don't do nothing silly. Like if there's a tackle, if there's a 50-50, don't go in for that. So I'm not saying we'll dominate the whole game. They'll probably have decent possession. I just can't see them being where they need to be, given what they've got on the line, to where we'll need to be. And I just think they'll come kind of more as bodies, we just need to fulfill this fixture and get it out of the way. That's not to say they couldn't spring a surprise, because when you've got Harvey Barnes, Maddison, they're good players. They on their day can beat lots of teams. I just think that semi-final for them is their everything. So they'll be coming very cautious, I think.
Do you think they're sort of in the mindset? Do you remember when we were in the UEFA Cup? I'm talking about like 2007, and under Ramos, and we were like resting players in the league and then playing in the.
Yeah.
Do you think that sort of mindset? I remember we lost a lot of games at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's right. Because your priorities are elsewhere, aren't they? And your key players, you're sitting there saying, "I've got to play you because as a squad, you've got to play." But I can imagine players get told, "Listen, please don't go out. Don't risk a sprint. You don't need to risk a sprint for. Don't risk a tackle. You don't need to risk. Save yourselves a little bit because we've got this semi-final that we're in. It's 1-1. They can go there easily and get a result against Roma. So, yeah, for me, they won't come and lie down. But I don't think they're coming to think, right, we need to spoil this and we're in for something here.
I think the only reason I bring this sort of thing up is because the Brighton game, everyone was like, at least to me as well, I thought even though they beat Arsenal, we'll get the job done, right?
Yeah.
And you think Brighton, I was told by, I had Steve Singh on, I don't know if you know him on Twitter,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
on before for that preview, because he's kind of like, I'm going to say a Brighton expert, he really likes Potter though. So I thought I'll get him on. And he was saying, oh, it's a dead cert, we'll win, they're on the beach. And obviously we go there and it's because they didn't have anything as such to play for.
Yeah.
And they had that like the release of the pressure.
Yeah.
Obviously, I feel like there's a danger with Leicester because obviously the league's basically done for them. They're not getting relegated. They're not finishing in the top 4. I think Europa League place, I don't know if it's on or off. I haven't checked. But because they have that release of no pressure, can they just come to Tottenham Hotspur and just play with the freedom? And it's sort of like a dangerous thing, I find, with us.
I think that's the difference, though, isn't it? Because for them, in a way, they have got something on the line. They've got the Conference League that they want to win. Brighton came, and yeah, I agree with you. I think we were all far too confident and cocky for that one. It's like, yes, Brighton beat Arsenal. That's it. We beat them now. Top 4's done. Lovely. And yeah, and you sit there and think, actually, Brighton are not a bad side, are they? They do play some good football. Potter came with a tactic. He's crammed the midfield, which caused us a major problem. We weren't at it. And we had the warning the week before at the Emirates. It's like, listen, they're no mugs, so don't just write them off entirely. But then they did have the freedom that we have nothing to lose here. Leicester, I just think that semi-final and Conference League just gives them something to distract them enough to take their eye off the ball in this game. We're also looking, top 4 is on the line, and we need a response to 2 poor performances. So so I just think the 2 teams and the 2 mindsets, it's there for us, where I feel more confident about this game than most games.
So in terms of Leicester, though, because I mentioned Maddison, of course there's been rumours that we might go for him. Now, am I getting yes or no for that? Because personally, for me, even I was against signing him when he was in the Championship. I can't remember who he was playing for before Leicester. Was it Norwich or something?
Norwich. Yeah, he was a Norwich boy, wasn't he?
Of him. And I remember we were all cursing, oh, he went to Leicester. He's good. But I'm quite a big fan of him, and I think in a sense that he could play those 2 roles that Conte wants him to play. But I know he's an Arsenal fan and he's done tweets which haven't pleased us at all. But so would you consider him as a signing in the summer? And I'm going to bring this up because we're playing Leicester.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those players, isn't he, that, I don't think we would go for him. If Eriksen's a free agent in the summer, then you'd probably go for Eriksen over Maddison, because Maddison's quite streaky, isn't he? He can have spells where he's scoring and assisting every week, but then all go. I mean, not be funny. He's a typical Spurs player, streaky. Have a great run for 3 games, but then go 6 games where he does nothing, and you're like, oh god, gee, great. Chip in a bit more often, please, mate. I don't think we'd go for him, but he's not a bad player. Again, if you had unlimited resources and you thought, I'll just fill out a squad, then he's not someone. If the news broke in the summer we'd signed him, I wouldn't be sitting here going, oh, what a rubbish signing that is. I'd be going, okay, well, if he can do what he does in his good spells consistently, then he can be a good player.
I think for me, what attracts myself to him is that he can play in a deeper role. It's sort of regista. I think they call it regista nowadays, right?
Yeah.
And then he can play as a 10. And I know there was talk about Conte changing to the 3-5-2, at least earlier in the tenure. So I could say, he could play that role. And also in games where we dominate possession, he could play in a deeper role, which is maybe why we are looking at him. And do you expect him to start, or do you think they'll just rest him on Sunday? Because he's a very important player for Leicester. But he hasn't, at the same time, I don't think he's played as regularly this season as
he hasn't. Years. He's been in and out this season, again, because of his consistency. There's points in the season where people are talking him up as an England call-up, and then all of a sudden, by the time the next friendly comes around, everyone's like, who? I think he could start. I don't think you could call this Leicester lineup, to be honest, because it all depends. Yeah, it could be depending on how they want to approach the game. But again, he'd be one of those players that if I'm managing that Leicester side, I'm saying to him, please don't do nothing silly today because I need you next week, for the big game. So yeah, it doesn't worry me, to be honest, who they play, because I do, just like I say, as I keep saying, I do believe they've got, their minds will be on something else bigger than this game.
Yeah. And I think Code's actually made a good point here. Conte's be very stubborn using the 3-4-3.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't see him changing that
Is that
formation
just
at all for the rest of the season.
But is that just because he hasn't got the players that he wants to change it?
He did mention Eriksen in this as well.
Yeah.
So
if you had Eriksen on the bench right now, does he change it? If you look at our bench, you midfield options, you're looking at Winks. Well, you're looking at no option, aren't you, really? Then your only other two options are Moore and Bergwijn, who you're sitting there saying, well, really, I can only take off Kulusevski or Son. They can't play in the middle. They can't play as a 10. I think Conte's just been stubborn. I'm not saying he shouldn't change things around, because if you're playing like we have the last two games, what can happen by changing it? You can't play any worse, can you? But I just think he looks at the bench and thinks, well, I haven't got a number 10 unless I take my key striker out of that position and drop him back, which I don't want to do. So if he had someone like an Eriksen, I think you might see him be prepared to change it a bit more, because he would then think Eriksen could play that 10 role behind Kane. So, but he is stubborn. There's no doubt about it. He is stubborn, and he won't, we're all sitting there saying, you can see this ain't working today, do something. And he's just like, no, not.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, I think everyone does. Yeah.
Do you see Conte's comment about our bench or something? Like, he sees our bench and he looks on the pitch.
Yeah, I love that. I turn around and think, oh god.
Yeah.
Please, someone do something.
I have noticed something though, in terms of like the one thing he changes in the middle of the game. Sometimes he goes to like a 4-4-2 and he chucks Bergwijn up top with Kane, and also puts Lucas and Son on the wings. I can't see us ever starting in that way. No. I think it's just like
I think he does that when he feels confident. That like the Newcastle game, when he knows the results in the bag, he then goes, oh, well, I can change this now because we're 4-1 up. So what's the worst that can happen? They don't work. They get one goal, maybe consolation. Yeah. I don't ever see him doing that when you're never going to turn up at Anfield and suddenly go, oh, we're 4-4-2. And you're like, what? No one saw that coming. He's got his formation, and that's what he's kind of stuck in, isn't it?
So I'm sure you asked me about Conte on your channel, so I thought I'd ask you on Conte. So are you happy with him? And I know we mentioned his stubbornness just now. Do you think it's to his detriment, or do you think it's just because, I mean, he's a Mediterranean man myself, so I'm quite stubborn, so that's why I don't really say anything. But do you think it's to his detriment? Do you think it's actually a good thing that he's sticking to this formation and we're not going to see a change on Sunday or something?
It's not always a good thing, is it? Because as a manager now and a modern manager, you do need to be flexible and change things up. But he's got a style of play, and let's face it, it would work if he's given the right tools. You think it'll work. He's just got to get through to the end of the season with what he's got now, isn't he? Which, like I say, his two key positions in his system are those two wide right wing backs and left back. He hasn't got the players to fulfill that role. Like I say, if you stick Trent Alexander and Robertson in those positions, Conte wins the league. But when you got Royal, Sessegnon or Reguilon, you're kind of going, well, as Cody said earlier, it's a bit like, what do you want me to bake with sawdust? I can't do it. But I'm really happy. Let's face it, he's one of the top managers in world football. So if we're not going to back this guy now, given what we've already seen him do and achieve so far this season, then you kind of go, we might as well give up, to be honest.
Yeah, he's got a point. Yeah, he's got a good point. But like for me, I felt like I would rather he did some sort of experiment on the wing back positions and played Bergwijn or Lucas there just to see what would happen. And then if it doesn't work, you can just take them off at half time, I guess. Not both of them, just try one. And then if it doesn't work,
I would say though that's the trouble as being a manager and a fan, isn't it? As fans, we think, listen, Emerson's shit. I don't care if he plays another game for Spurs this season. Whereas Conte's thinking, I've got to keep everyone happy, and dropping a so-called right wing back for a winger is like a real smack in the face for Emerson, isn't it? Because everyone's going, cool, if you can't, he's playing a winger instead of you. You must be so bad. You then know that bloke ain't playing for you again this season. Mentally, he'll check out thinking, oh, if that's what you think of me, then what's the point? And as a manager, you have to go, oh, can I afford to upset this guy for potentially a risk? Because if it don't work and we played more a right wing back and he's getting roasted left, right, and centre, everyone's going, well, what the fuck? What was you doing there? Like, now put Emerson back. He goes, yeah, righto, I'm not playing for you anymore.
It's like lesser of two evils, I guess. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
But in terms of Conte, obviously this week there's been some talk about him going to PSG, which he has squashed, I think, yesterday or today.
Yeah, today he did, I think.
Today was it today? He was like, it's fake. Okay, so do you have any fear that he's going to walk in the summer if we don't get fourth? Or if Kane goes, for me, I think he's gone. But do you think, and at the same time, obviously, do you think Kane's going to stay? But I'm still quite worried because obviously he's a very hot-headed individual. Obviously I really rate him as a manager and he's a brilliant person. But there's always a chance that he can just get up and leave. Do you think because of Paratici being here, do you think he's more likely to stay as well?
I honestly, with Conte, I think it all depends on what he gets. Now, I've always been prepared to say, I'd be quite prepared to say there could be this conspiracy theory that we've taken Conte off the market for PSG. They've got Poch ready for us. And at the end of the season, they just go, right, Levy's always regretted getting rid of Poch after that. So it would never surprise me if that happened. But I think for Conte, it's all about what backing he knows he's going to get. If he finish, I don't think he's worried. If he don't finish fourth, I don't think that's enough to make him leave. If we finish fifth, but Levy said to him, you're getting 200 million this summer and I'm buying you the players that you want, and Kane staying, then I think Conte says, well, I'm staying because, we could do something. If we finish fifth or even fourth and Levy says, I'll give you 50 mil and I'll buy you a couple of under 21 French wingers, then I think Conte says, you can do one, pal. Like, I'm not staying for this. This wasn't what I'm signing up for. And I think it's very much the same with Harry Kane. If City sign Haaland, then Kane is staying. Because Kane wants trophies. There's only one guarantee of trophies in football at the moment, and that's Liverpool and City. Liverpool are not buying him. City take Haaland, then that's their money done. Where's Kane going that guarantees him trophies? Nowhere. Not in this league anyway.
In my opinion, I think Kane's going to stay for Tottenham at least till like he's 30 something now, because there's nowhere else he can go. The only team that everyone keeps saying is Man United. But he's not going Man United now.
No way, no chance. They're behind us. At the moment. So, like, if you want trophies, you're not going Man United, are you? Because you're sitting there saying, well, they're in just as big a mess as they're in a bigger mess than what Tottenham are in terms of squad and rebuild needed. They're 4 or 5 transfer windows away from a title challenge again. So they're no closer to us than anything. So I think he stays now, to be honest.
Okay, so we generally have good history against Leicester. So do you think we'll carry on Sunday, or do you think they're gonna come Sunday night? I'm gonna be sitting here ranting with someone else.
I always fear I could be sitting here ranting, but no, I honestly think we get the result we need. And I said on the quiz pod that I think this could be one of those 4-1 jobbies, because I don't think Leicester are coming to play. I think we're looking for a response, and this would be one of them games like the Newcastle one at home, where if we can get an early goal as well, then I could see us going on and getting 3 or 4, even 5 possibly.
I think we'll win, but I don't think it'll be as comfortable as anyone else. Because I never like to say, "Oh, we're going to win like 5-0," or "We're going to win like 4-0." It's always like maybe a 2-1 or something.
A behind the sofa jobby,
Yeah.
they attacking.
I'll be sitting there just eating my halftime snacks because I'm like stress eating during the game. Because I have this ritual where I'll go to like an off license before the game and pick up a couple of sweets.
Right, yeah,
Like
that's
M&M,
right.
something like that.
Yeah.
And then whoever I sit next to is normally my dad. He'll be like, if I start eating, he knows I'm just sitting there
You're on
worried we're going to
edge.
concede a goal.
You need more than a couple of packets of sweets. I'm telling you, I'd have eaten those before the game's kicked off.
I'll tell you a funny story. So we know we used to go to Wembley. I don't
Yeah,
know how often you went. So
yeah.
the only motivation I had for going there, apart from obviously watching Tottenham, was they used to sell Krispy Kremes in like the stands
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So I used to go
Yeah.
there, and every time I go, I'll buy like a free pack. I'd eat one before the first half, one at half time, one during the second half. I was like, just get me through this game.
He was like my son then. My son only ever wanted to come with me to Wembley because of the pick and mix that was sold. He was like, "Oh, can I get pick and mix?" Like, you are coming for the football, aren't you? Like, not really.
It's for me, it was more just like the traveling to and from Wembley. It's just such a nightmare. So
It was a pain.
I
Yeah, it was a
didn't really
pain.
like enjoy that at all.
Yeah, it wasn't a great couple of seasons, to be honest. There was it in terms of the ground, the atmosphere. I mean, you remember the first game with the fake drummer being played through the tannoy and stuff. So yeah, it was never. It wasn't the best couple of years, but it did its job,
It's
I
over now.
suppose. Yeah,
It's over
exactly.
now,
Yeah.
thankfully. So I thought I'd just bring this up because now we're talking about stadiums. What do you think we need to do to get some atmosphere into the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Or because for me, the one game I'll give it to the club that we did really well. We played City in the
Yeah.
quarterfinal.
Yeah.
They to dare us to do thing.
There. Yeah. Yeah.
That was the one game where I felt like this is home, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But all the other games, I'm like, I still think of the old White Hart Lane, but
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's our stadium in a sense that.
Yeah.
And obviously with a game like Leicester on Sunday, which has got a lot of pressure on it, what can they do to make the atmosphere better? Because I don't know if there's have you seen that Twitter account? It says THFC songs. They're trying to do something.
Yeah, they're trying to create lots of songs, aren't they? But yes. I'm like you.
What do you think we should do?
Bring White Hart Lane back for a start would be a good one. Get us back to what we used to have. I honestly don't know what you can do in this situation because the biggest problem now is going to Tottenham and the new stadium has become kind of a day out for lots of people, isn't it? You're not getting diehard Spurs fans there all the time. Lots of them are people who are just coming over to see certain players or just, well, let's go and have a day out. We've got tickets to the Spurs game. Let's go and see this magnificent stadium in London. I guess, don't play Can't Smile Without You before kickoff because that's a real draining, that's a real atmosphere draining song.
Yeah.
Yes, it's got its place in Tottenham's history, but it's not right before kickoff. It's not exactly, You'll Never Walk Alone, is it? Where the hairs tingle on the back of your neck before a ball's kicked. But I don't know what you can do. I mean, you've got that south stand that you want to make the wall. I think you've got to try and sell tickets in the way of saying, listen, do you want to sing and do you want to be someone who creates an atmosphere for a game? Yes, you need a ticket in here. Because if you could get that one stand banging and jumping every game, then that creates the atmosphere. The rest around it could be your kind of day trippers and stuff like that. But if that one wall is constantly singing, making noise and up for it, then the atmosphere builds from there. But while you've got people scattered all over the place, then it's hard to get it going, isn't it? The North London derby will be an interesting one because that is the one that's been the first time Arsenal fans have been in that stadium. So we really got to see what the atmosphere can be like, and we need to make it, we need to get that to dare is to do thing back for a game. But yeah, they've got to do something.
At least like for songs like Can't Smile Without You, it made more sense to just play it after we won a game or something.
Yeah.
Like I would be like, that makes sense. And that they have songs like Ozzy's Gone to Wembley, whatever, say before cup games, maybe it would help more.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel like before there was a much better connectivity between the fans and the club. I remember Together THFC. That was a few years ago now. We're talking.
Yeah, you had the
5 years ago now.
1882 as well, didn't you? The old White Hart Lane. I mean, that's not lie. The old White Hart Lane wasn't exactly
Yeah, I'm not
jumping
saying
every
it was,
week. You know,
yeah,
it wasn't this. Oh, White Hart Lane was an electric atmosphere every game.
Yeah.
It wasn't. But because of the limited space, you only had the real diehard supporters in the stadium most weeks because you couldn't get a ticket for love nor money if you weren't a member or a season ticket holder. But I'm like, see, I'm a traditionalist. I always used to love it when Spurs ran out to Glory, Glory, Tottenham Hotspur, and then they changed it to the dueling Star Wars
Duel of Fates
song,
yeah.
Duel of
See,
Fates.
Personally, I like that myself.
Or,
yeah,
lots of people
Fugees,
do.
Is it Fugees Ready or Not? That was good as well.
Yeah,
it's sort of just these hype songs. If
yeah.
that makes sense.
But yeah, like you say, Can't Smile Without You. Oh, yes, it's affiliated with Tottenham, but you don't want Barry Manilow just before kickoff.
Because I know, I kind of think they did that because a lot of people on Twitter were saying put the song on.
They did, yeah.
I mean, I was less vocal about saying no, don't put it on, whatever, because obviously the majority is going to win anyway, so there's no point in me saying anything. but I felt like because it's a very like sort of soft. I don't know if that's the right word, like a soft song.
Yeah,
it's not something that you're going to come out and be like, yes, I'm ready.
I say it doesn't get you pumped, does it? It's a miserable song, most of it. Like, I can't smile without you, Tottenham. And you're like, oh right, well, I'm pumped now. I tell you, ready to go to war now. I think they tried it in some of the when the stadium was built. They had like the under 18 games and the Legends fixtures, and they played it in some of those games. And of course, because they were just friendly, nothingness games, everyone loved it. But it's like, this is crunch time now, and yeah, this kind of kills the atmosphere a little bit.
It's just, I don't know how we get it. I don't know. I think they have to sort of get in touch with like the supporters trust or something like that. Something like that. I don't know exactly. But also, you mentioned about the South Stand. I've been told, I'm not going to tell names of people who told me, but they're trusted people, put it that way, and they've probably watched this, that some people have been told to like sit down in the South Stand and that sort of thing, and told, why are you screaming, shouting? I mean, it's even happened to me in the football match where it was on the old White Hart Lane, actually. Obviously, I tend to be quite loud at the match, so I just scream at the ref most of the time and also get involved with the songs, right? I'm not going to jump, it gets up whenever there's like a bad decision I don't agree with. Right. That person now. But so one game, like my little brother was like saying a song, I can't remember what it was, and the guy in front turned around and was like, why is it so loud? Why are you guys so loud? And my dad was like, if you want to go to a library, go to a library. Like, this is a football stadium. I think there's more fans like that, and you probably have a good point.
Day trippers. There's trouble, yeah. Just too many day trippers and people, you know, and this is not sounding horrible, but tourists who
I was going to say something about
and saying like, I'm getting a ticket, I want to come, I'm coming to see Son. I'm not coming to see Spurs.
Yeah.
I want to see Son. He's my key player. Great. But I guess that is the trouble, isn't it? You know, if the ground is too full of too many day trippers and people who are there just for a day out, like, oh, I'll take my son to a game of football. We're not really football fans, but we'll go to a game. And you're like, well, this is the problem, you know, because while you've got you and your brother and your dad sitting there, you're not surrounded by like-minded fans.
No, I mean,
which is why for me, if the easiest way or one of the easiest way to do it will be create a singing stand where people who you say, if you want to come and sing and be vocal and everything, this is where we need you to be, because that's where we're going to get the atmosphere going from. But I guess it's probably easier said than done, to be honest with you, the way it works.
Because I only bring up, because you make a good point, as in if you want to sing, go to South Stand. Obviously, a lot of people have also been split up with people I used to sit with. Yeah. I'm quite lucky in the fact that the person I used to sit next to actually is only just in like the block next to me or something. So at half time, I still meet him. Right. And other people, like family, friends, were all in the same stand. Yeah. In the same bit. So we just see each other. So it's also like a social thing in that sense for me. Because people I see every couple of weeks. Yeah. But they're like proper fans. They're people who've been going for years and years. And obviously, you get other people in my area who are just there for just one day. Yeah. And they just go.
Well, you'll get people
but you get all sorts. But
yeah, that's right.
But your idea of the yellow wall, or they call it in Dortmund, is probably the best idea. But it's just the club isn't really in contact with fans to organise that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you think it's down more to the club, or do you think it's down to like someone like the supporters trust to do something about it?
I guess the problem with the supporters trust is that everyone kind of on Twitter, everyone jumps on the supporters trust, doesn't
I
they?
only
And
mentioned
be
them
like,
because they're the only people I'm thinking
no,
of.
you are right. But when something with the supporters trust happens, everyone goes, "Oh, why are the supporters trust not doing this?" Well, it's like, are you a member of the supporters trust? Because if you're not, they're only doing what their members want them to do. So they're not listening to Bill on Twitter who says, "Oh, we should do this. The trust should do this." They've got members, and they ballot their members as to what are key things for you that we need to talk to the club about. So that's what they're doing. But yeah, the club and the trusts do need to work together and say, listen, we want to create an atmosphere. How can we do it? You put surveys out, you survey all your supporters, your members, your season ticket holders, and say, we want to create an atmosphere. Give us ideas. What can we do if we add a singing section? Like, if we made the South Stand like a Dortmund yellow wall, where we want people in there who want to sing in that, would you be okay with that? I'm sure you'd get everyone together and you'd come to the right answer at some point and be able to improve the atmosphere. It might be the music that gets played before a game. It might, but you've got to talk to people to find that out. I'm sure the club are probably calling in some marketing agency from somewhere and like, what can we do? People who've never been to a game of football in their lives and go, oh, you could do this. Like, talk to the fans who are there. They're the people who are going to make the difference. It's not hard to do.
I think also a factor is obviously it is a new stadium, but also I find, personally, this is my opinion, I've said this like 3 or 4 times now on my channel, but football's very commercialised, and that's as a consequence. That's how we've got obviously fans from Korea come just to see Son, not to see Tottenham against Son. But there must be a way to get those sort of fans even involved in just songs and stuff, rather than just they're there going with a little band.
Do you want the karaoke on the screens with the ball going across the lyrics? Yeah,
I don't know, something. Just because as in like if. I don't know. I guess I only want to say this is because in stadiums like Man United and Old Trafford, there's people obviously come all across the world, and obviously that stadium has been there for longer. I'll give them that. But I find like even on TV, even though their fans are just more vocal. I mean, they saw the protest with the Glazers. They just tend to be more vocal. Like with us, it's just it's not the same.
It's really hard. I think when you look at it, when you think of White Hart Lane, we've doubled the size of that stadium. And like, as you say, the biggest problem is people who were together have all separated and gone into different parts of the ground. You haven't got the shelf anymore where it was known, get in the shelf, that's where it'll be lively. That's all broken up around the ground. And now you've got modern football supporters. Like my son, he's just coming back to Spurs, but he wasn't a football supporter in a club. He was a player supporter. So he was Ronaldo.
Okay,
so his view is, I love Ronaldo. And like, if Ronaldo's at Juventus, Dad, get me a Juventus shirt. If he signs for United, I'll get me a Ronaldo United shirt. I said, if he signs for Wickham, do you want a Wickham shirt with Ronaldo on the back? But he would have gone, yeah. So lots of modern supporters now, the younger generation, they support players sometimes rather than teams. So that, like as you say, like with a Son, they're going to the game just to see him and support him, not Tottenham Hotspur. I don't know how we get.
But then, do you create like a? Then do you create? I know it sounds really. It's going to half the people. Do you create like a tourist area stand, and then you say, okay, all the South Stand people go obviously in the South Stand who want to sing, and you say this is like a designated.
Yeah, I think so.
Neutral. Like in Fulham, they have like a neutral stand.
Yeah.
Sort of something like that, and they say, oh. And whatever I say, it might come
you're going to say, you're going to think you're going to sound bad, aren't you? But I know what you're getting at.
Put all those fans in there.
But that's why, like as we're saying, if you create that South Stand as this is the diehards, we want the diehard supporters in there. Those people can be spread around the ground elsewhere, because as long as that one stand is making all the noise, it will generate the atmosphere because there's enough in there to do it. So yeah, you know, that I think is the biggest way of solving that problem. But it does take the club to kind of take on board and speak to supporters and not kind of just be like, oh yeah, we don't care what you want, we're doing what we want.
I don't care. But I do feel like it's a major problem, and it's something that I want the club to solve. And I doubt they're watching this, but but yeah, it's because for me, I go to football matches, obviously in support Tottenham, but the thing that attracts me, say for example, just staying at home, even playing someone like, you know, you mentioned Wickham in like a dead FA Cup game, where you expect, oh, there's gonna be less fans, blah blah. It's the more because I go because of the atmosphere. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
Obviously, I see people I know there, but it's more just because you go there. What's the word? Like taking the atmosphere, like night games a lot, for example. The atmosphere is a bit different, and that sort of experience, like you feel like you're involved. Yeah. Obviously, when you're watching at home, I feel like I have no effect on the game.
Yeah. You do. Yeah. Harry shouting at the referee from row. Like, wait.
When I'm in my flat like this, shouting at the ref, it doesn't make a difference. He's not going to hear me.
He can't hear you through the telly. Yeah.
If that makes sense. So, like to have that atmosphere, how do you recreate it? I guess we just had all these suggestions that these, you know, THFC songs are trying to do something about it.
Yeah.
And I think the main issue for me is just there's a disconnect between like the fans and the club, and I think it's been there for like a while. I'd say about 3 or 4 years.
It's never, not being funny, it's never felt like home yet.
And that's what I'm trying to say.
Like,
it's not
at the end of White Hart Lane. That was a fortress.
They had to kick me out to get rid of me.
Yeah, people didn't like coming to play us at White Hart Lane because it was a fortress. At no point yet have we made that new stadium a fortress, and it doesn't feel like it's ever been that. And like you say, because of the atmosphere and everything with it, you can't see when it will get there yet.
It's kind of like going full circle in the sense that our home form this year, we lost to Southampton, Wolves, and Brighton. This is why Sunday is not, to me, it's not just a foregone conclusion because it's, you know, just turn up. Yeah, we're going to win like 3-0. So just before we end this, do you have like a predicted score for Sunday then?
Yeah, I'm going 4-1. I honestly, I'm like you, not being funny, 44 years should have taught me never to go, listen, Spurs are going to win this game. I should know better, and I should give myself a slap on the wrist. But I honestly think the way things are going to pan out, I can see a 3-4-1 win on Sunday.
Okay. I'm predicting 2-1 because I don't think of his easiest made up. I think Son will probably get both goals because I think... I just think he's in form, and I think he's going to chase Salah for the Golden Boot. So I think
let's hope
get both of them.
We can't have him winning that, can we? I don't want Salah to do what Kane did and win the Golden Boot and the
assist thing,
because all Liverpool supporters think, you know, Kane's rubbish, and that achievement wasn't nothing. But the minute Salah wins it, he'll be world class, and it'll be the biggest thing in world football, won't it?
Personally, I think they're probably going to do the quadruple, but a lot of people disagree with me.
I think City are going to win. I think City will pip them to the league. I think City will pip them to the title, and who knows? It might be us that throw their quadruple in the bin.
It's good. It's been great having you on, Carl. And if anyone hasn't subscribed or followed Coys.com as well, do it as well now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's nice having you on. Have a good evening, everyone, and take care. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.